Hello, everyone. I'm Jean-Claude BeyondMystic, and welcome to this very special report. Of course, this time it's different. Of course, today we're talking about the astrology of crypto and silver. With me today are the world-renowned Mr. BIX from roadtoruta.com. You can find him there, and also here on YouTube and on his website at Road to Ruta. BIX, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Jean-Claude. And Julie, happy to be on with you. First time we're meeting. I think we could do some great things today.
Yay. Happy to be there with you, BIX too.
Awesome. Well, Julie and folks, please welcome Julie here from Maison Jupiter on YouTube and also on the web at maisonjupiter.com. Julie, excited to have you both on the show here today. We're going to have a lot of fun bridging together the astrology, the alignments, and everything that has to do with crypto and silver moving forward here for 2022. Lots going on. I don't even know where to start, but Bix, why don't we start there? Last week, I did this Beyond Crypto Woo report with Janine, and you were kind enough to provide us with this research that you had brought forward. And I thought that was really pertinent to set up the conversation here as to where things perhaps are going. Can you explain for this audience here who had not seen the Beyond Crypto Woo what this slide means and perhaps what it means moving forward?
Sure. First of all, I want to tell everybody, I don't know if you noticed from my news this morning, I melted down a filling and had to pull it through that. Right there. I had one of these. I have big teeth because I bashed them all in, and one popped out yesterday. I asked the dentist, "Can you melt that down and see if there's any silver in there?"
Right.
That's how we're. I mean, literally, it sounds ridiculous and a funny joke right now. In 6 months from now, you're gonna say, "Oh, did you get the silver? Did you get the silver?" So let's go back to that chart.
Okay, hold on. And you know, Bix, I'm with you. Last week I had surgery too, and it's just I hate it. I hate going to the dentist. I feel for you, man, but hopefully everything will be okay with you. I'm still waiting. I have to go back for a follow-up appointment too. Just very frustrating. All right, let's get to this slide.
Okay, so last Thursday was the last day of trading for the March contract. We move into March delivery month. So this is all COMEX, futures and options, basically derivatives. The silver game is all about derivatives, and they were in so much trouble on Thursday because we had just breached the 200-day moving average, and that's when all the tech traders blindly start buying silver because they have to be long according to the way they trade. They trade solely based on price. And this is how these criminals get away with rigging the price. They'll get the tech traders to go one way, and then they'll slice and dice them and steal their money. But they had so much problem getting silver under the 200-day moving average last Thursday, they had to dump over 1 billion ounces of silver on the electronic market. That's the COMEX, and you see the data right there. It's, what does it say? I can't even read it from here. There we go. Every contract's 5,000 ounces, so that's 204,000 contracts of volume that day. That's over 1 billion ounces. Now, you got to put it in the context of, for every single mining company out there, every single person involved in mining, every town involved in mining, it takes them 1 year to get about 800 million ounces out of the ground and into the market. Tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people, economies, you name it, the local restaurant at the mining town, all these people dependent upon the price of silver. And these asshole bankers in one day can click a mouse and dump over a full year's mine supply on the market to drive the price down. The amazing thing, it only drove it down about $1. And all they wanted to do is get under the 200-day moving average. These people are so beyond criminal now that even the regulators are running out of excuses on why silver is being rigged. Silver's at one half of its all-time high from 1980. That is just shocking. Gold is double, more than double. So it makes you wonder, okay, what is it about silver that's so important? Well, two things. One, it's a monetary metal, and banks hate monetary metals because it's a way out of their system. And you Canadians up there, hello, Canadians, you know that now what I've been screaming this whole time, get your metal in your own possession, get your money in your own possession, get your cryptos in your own possession. Now we know why. That's their control over us. That's our controllers on their last leg saying, we're going to take your wealth. We're going to take your 401k. I don't know if you call them that up there. Your retirement money. We're going to take your truck. We're going to take everything you own because we can. We're elected politicians and we get to do that. And I'm just livid at the government, actually, I'm happy because now people are starting to figure out what the hell's going on. Why is it so important to hold your metal in your own possession? Why is it so important to get rid of these government people in general? The bankers behind them. And it's breaking free. And I'm so excited. And I don't even know where to start other than moving on for today. Today's news was that they did make a delivery.
So, okay, hold on. I'll set that up in a second here. I just want to echo what you were saying here about Canada. This was Minister Freeland, of course, using the Emergencies Act to go after the funding resources of the people standing for freedom and for their rights to be upheld. And of course, this created a big havoc to the point where the Minister of Finance also had to come out and say, okay, wait. Not only can the banks grab your money if you don't agree with your government, but now we can also freeze your money because too many of you are worried now and taking your money out of the bank. So now we can freeze anybody just to prevent a bank run. And of course, that is exactly what was happening last week. And Martin Strom Economic was also reporting that huge capital flows out of Canada here because of that. And suddenly there was this big reversal from our government, even though they had passed the Emergencies Act in the House of Commons, they reversed it the next day. So something freaked the hell out of them. So let's get into the delivery month here for silver, as you were just saying. Let me bring your YouTube channel up on the screen for everybody to see. Which one was that? So Friday, I believe. Which one am I looking for, Vic?
So yeah, Friday. Basically, what it was normally you have on the first day of delivery. So March is a delivery month in silver. I think there's 4 delivery months during the whole year where the majority of silver is delivered on the COMEX, which is futures and options. So people will stand for delivery. Normally on the first day, about 90%, 80 to 90% of the silver that's going to be delivered all month get delivered on the first day because you have to pay for storage and insurance and fees and all that every day you hold your metal in these warehouses. So it makes no economic sense to hang on to the metal to deliver at the end of the month unless you don't have it. And that's the key. So the question was, and this was Friday, sometimes they're squirrely with the data coming out of the COMEX and the warehouses and the open interest. So I waited until Monday, and Monday came and went. And here's what happened Monday. So 10% got delivered on Friday, about 10%. And then on Monday, I looked at the numbers, and it was almost 50%. But it was 4,000 contracts, which is 20 million ounces. And I think the total open interest was 8,500 or something like that, which is more like 47 million ounces. I'm just spitballing.
Yep.
The interesting thing is that the open interest for March only went down 1,000 contracts, which is 5 million ounces. So somewhere along the way, they delivered 5 million, but 2 million more were delivered that were not part of that open interest, which you can do on the COMEX. You can come in that day and say, I want to buy silver and I want it delivered today. That is legal on the COMEX. You can do that. People usually don't do that, but you can. So you pay the spot price of whatever that day is. And it looks like that's what somebody did and took 2 million ounces out of the pool. So now 2,000 contracts, which is 10 million ounces. Now 4,000 contracts have been delivered, which is about 20 million ounces, but there's still 7,500 contracts waiting to be delivered, which is almost 40 million ounces. So basically, they still haven't really delivered on much of this silver at all. And people are starting to go into the COMEX and say, I want to buy it. I want to take delivery. I want to run away right now.
Pay me my silver now. And you know what's funny? I asked Janine about your tweet last night on the live show. She pulled some cards, and this is her on the tweet there. And if I move the cursor forward, she's like, oh, it's funny. It's like they're missing 50% of the silver. You just said they're at 50 right now. So she's saying also here, judging by the card, she went a little bit further in the pool, that's saying that these manipulations are on death's door. They're at the end of all of this now. We could be looking back maybe in a couple of weeks or even months from now to say, hey, this might have been really the beginning of the end, where for the first time, it's actually in mainstream news that they're defaulting. I know they've done the exchange for physical for the last couple of years. There's been a lot of default, but an actual visible default for the public, we could be here now. Is that what you think is happening, Bix? Are we that close? We're going to read an email from Cliff, who sent us an email earlier today about this. But what are your thoughts now? Why this time it might be different, in fact, as the title of the show here today suggests?
I do think it's different for a zillion different reasons. But are we there? It won't show up that way. I think this is completely under control of the good guys, as I call them.
Mhm.
They want to show the world what the hell was going on in silver, and this is an easy way to do it. Bank of America surprisingly has delivered almost nothing this month, and we thought they would be the big. I thought they would be the big delivery because they were the last delivery month of 25 million ounces, and now it's like I don't think they have it.
Right.
So is this going to be? It won't be the end of price suppression until the COMEX is closed down. Remember, COMEX is the only exchange on the planet for silver. There are no other exchanges. There's some options trading in China, but as far as I know, now somebody said, no, you can take delivery on the options in China. I don't know about that, but I do know that everybody takes their price from the COMEX, which is futures and options.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need a futures and options market to tell us what silver is worth. We need a true free market to tell us what silver is worth. As a matter of fact, today or Monday was a small month of trading on the COMEX. Only 300 million ounces were traded on the COMEX yesterday, and that's insane. The volumes are so insane on these silver exchanges, and it's 100% computers and derivatives trading back and forth to each other. 99% of these trades are banks trading back and forth to each other to set prices. It's gotten so insane. And the new thing I've been studying is the CFTC, which is the regulator, will be down to one commissioner by the end of the month. They're supposed to have 5, Rustin Binham. But I looked at the advisory committees. These are the committees that tell the CFTC what to do. And supposedly it's people from the industry. And I went down, there was like 120 advisory companies that put their 2 cents into the CFTC for silver and gold manipulation. Silver and gold trading. Not one of them is a miner. Not one of them is a refiner. And not one of them is a jewelry manufacturer that's supposed to be the big hedger. So basically, there is nobody represented from the industry. It's 100% banks and bank-related industry companies that are the, quote, advisors to the CFTC.
It's absolutely crazy. And that you're just talking about now, we need transparency in our markets. And of course, let's bring in some astrology here. We are moving into the age of Aquarius, the knowledge bearer. We're moving away from the schooling system into becoming masters of self. And in that, we have to go through what Claude talks about, secrets revealed. And eventually, everything will come out in the open. Julie, what are the astrological alignments this year that could support maybe the breakdown of all of these dark, hidden secrets in the world of silver manipulation, and bring this forward for everyone to see, 1, and 2, also, how do the alignments bring value now to this metal, whereas before perhaps it didn't? Share that with the audience here. What do you have on the slide?
Okay, so before going into that slide, I just thought about something, and I think that might be important here. In the astrology, in the year of 2021, the major alignment we had was the square between the planet Saturn and the planet Uranus. And Saturn stands for getting more control on population, keeping us in control, and this old matrix of control with the finances, basically. And Uranus, on the other side, is our freedom, getting back our sovereignty as people. And also it stands for decentralized power, as to Saturn is more like trying to get us all into this centralized power. So it was like a big battle between these two forces all of 2021. So I think we saw that a lot. And it's coming back this year in 2022. At the beginning of the year, we still had that aspect in orb, and it's going to be in orb still during the fall. So this is going to be the last period where this alignment is going to be full force. So 2022 is like the breaking free from this old matrix of control, basically, in the astrology too. So what it happens is that as we are moving away from this system of control that is keeping our finances centralized, people are going to be more and more willing to invest in decentralized assets. So that means also gold, silver, and also crypto, which is a big Uranus theme too. So we'll get into that later. But as for silver, what's really interesting here is that in astrology, the sign related to silver, well, we have the planet, first of all, it's related to the moon. But if we look at the signs, Taurus is where the moon is exalted. So it says it's really happy. It's gaining a lot of value in the sign of Taurus. So as from January 18 until mid-2023, the North Node, which talks about what's going to gain value in the collective, is in the sign of Taurus. So meaning everything that is Taurus related is going to gain a lot of value. So it did start in mid-January, but it's going to be effective until mid-2023. So the North Node is still going to be in the sign of Taurus until mid-2023. And what's really interesting is that the planet Uranus, which talks about all decentralized assets, decentralized power, is going to lock in with the North Node, so gaining more value in the sign of Taurus, which is crypto, but also silver. So I think, yeah.
There's nothing more decentralized than silver.
Right.
Right.
Okay, that's excellent. Is there anything else on that chart that I'm missing, Julie? We talked about the alignment for May the 12th until 2022. Okay.
So yeah, May 12, I put Sun is going to conjunct the North Node. So Sun, it means it's going to shed a light on North Node, what is actually valuable in the collective. So I think silver is already very valuable, as you were talking Bix earlier. So it is already valuable. It's just a matter of maybe knowing about it publicly, because those crooks are trying to make us believe that it's undervalued. So when the Sun hits a planet, it's like more information is revealed. So Sun conjunct North Node, it means the real value of silver could be made public around that date, around May.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Bix, do you have any questions with respect to some of the astrology? How does this tie in with your work also on roadtoroota.com? And just basically the timing also of some of the reports and the emails that Cliff has been sending us here in the last couple of weeks. Maybe you can address that first, and then we can read Cliff's email from earlier today as well.
Sure. I love that astrology. I mean, clearly last year was exactly how you described it. You know, it was the bad guys trying to reassert their control. It was interesting in silver because back in the early 2000s, when I was fighting this fight, they used leasing of silver and gold to suppress the price of gold and silver. So they would lease it into the market to slam the price down and then pay it back over time. Robert Rubin went to all these countries and said, let us borrow your gold. And then they sold it in the market to suppress the price, which is all fine and dandy until you have to return the metal to the lessor. Whoever had the metal, I don't think they're going to get it back, which is JP Morgan. So what they did, they resurrected that old way to suppress the price, to control the situation. You described it perfectly in the astrology for last year. And I 100% agree with you that things have changed. We saw what they did last year. We're talking about it. They're trying to do similar things with the inventories right now, and they won't get away with it. The light of the sun has exposed these assholes. And I just got goosebumps right there just thinking about that concept. Also because in the Road to Ruta documents that I have discovered from the Fed Boston, they have this pamphlet called Banking Basics. And in it, they have the GATA picture. Those of you who know GATA, the Gold Antitrust Action Committee, they had this awesome picture painted of all the GATA folks charging the Federal Reserve, and it's cloaked in half darkness. And there's a sun just on half the picture. But in this comic book that the Fed Boston put out, it is the Fed in pure sunlight. I don't know if you look up Banking Basics Fed Boston, pure sunlight, and the door is cracked open in the comic. Now, it also has a little girl going into a bank exchanging gold coins for fiat money. So I don't know if you can bring that up or.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for it now. Hold on a second here.
But it was all. I mean, I discovered this stuff on January 1st, 2007. What the hell I was doing there with a hangover on that day on the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston website when they posted, I don't know. But that's one of those synchronicities in life. That's one of the reasons I don't just rely on the numbers they give us. I don't rely on just normal analysis of gold, silver investments. You got to go to the astrology. You got to go to the tarot cards. You got to go to the remote viewers and the psychics. All of it plays a part because it's part of all of us. All that stuff, you know, these bankers are not super smart. They know how to, you know, play with computers and calculate numbers. That's all. And you know, to skirt the law. I mean, I know a hell of a lot more psychics and astrologers are much smarter than these damn bankers. I was a banker for 25 years. I know this.
I love it.
Like we know now that these players, the dark players, they use astrology and they use tarot too. So might as well use it as well.
Well, even politicians, they have rooms of astrologer with them when they preside over some of these new policy implementation dates and stuff like that. Like this has been known for a long time. I mean, even Reagan was up and open about that. His wife was big into that as well. So yeah, absolutely. I can't find exactly that poster you were looking for.
Go to roadtoruda.com and click on the resources.
Okay, let me see if we can find it. Let's do this live. Okay, resources.
Yes.
Where am I looking?
Go to a blog. Over there. Educational resources. And then scroll down to, keep going. It should say, there it is, Banking Basics. Not the original one, but the other one.
I don't see the basics.
Two down.
Two down? Ah, there you go.
Up, one up. Sorry.
Whoop.
That's,
not that one?
No, not that one. That's actually an interesting one, but it doesn't have the pictures in it. That's from 1987 when they released the Silver Eagles and Gold Eagles.
Oh, interesting.
This is the real one. So you can see right off the bat, it's gold, putting gold coins in the account. But go to, I think it's page 37. If I remember this, I'll be brilliant. But
let's see. Okay, that's 37. Let me scroll up.
Keep going down.
Yeah.
No, back up.
Up? Okay,
yeah.
Hold on. We were close.
Just keep going. I'll tell you when to stop.
All
There,
right.
that was it.
Why do banks fail?
Yeah, it's squeezed between why do banks fail? That right there. That is a picture of the Federal Reserve System with the door cracked. Now, if you look at the Gatta painting, which is the Federal Reserve building with the door half in sunlight and all shut. Oh, wait, actually go back to that comic. I want to show you the little girl cashing in all the gold at the bank, because that is really important right now for our financial system. That's where we're headed. We're headed to not a silver standard. We're headed to a gold standard. If you keep going, I'd say go back up.
Up before this? Okay.
Just scroll fast and I'll yell to stop. Keep going.
All right. I remember the slide from what? There you go.
There it is.
Yeah. Look
at that. Now, this is the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston putting out this picture on January 1st, 2007, right before the when I discovered this, I said, uh-oh, they're going to crash the system. And on September 11th, 2008 is when they crashed the system. And it's just, all this ties into the Road to Ruta documents. If you look at what Ruta wrote in the sand in the original comic that they redid, it changed from a mathematical formula called On the Road to the Golden Age to a basically 11 plus 9 in the sand, 9/11. So there's all kinds of secrets coming out of the Fed, and you have to bring in all this information from the psychics, from the tarot, from the financial world, from the miners on the ground who are actually digging this stuff up and putting their blood, sweat, and tears into it.
Right.
When you put it all together is the only way you can make sense of the insanity going on today.
Yeah, I love it. And folks, if you want to get your hands on these resources, you can go to roadtoruta.com. And there is a private road section where BIX does even more of this woo-woo analysis. And you can watch this last video here also with our friend Cliff High, who's in the chat now, and answering one of life's most pervasive mystery. His name is actually Cliff High. Clifford, but he's too lazy to type in the 2 F's. There you go. If you guys wanted to know, his real name is, in fact, Clifford High. All right, Cliff, I love it. Thank you, man. That's funny. Okay, do you guys want to shift into crypto? Because we have some alignments for that as well. Everybody's excited now about crypto. Wait. No. To read email. Let's go back to silver here for a second. Bix, do you have that on the screen in front of you, or do you want me to bring that? Maybe.
What am I looking at? What do you
Cliff's email from earlier today, just about the report in Europe, Austria. You want to see if you want to bring that up?
Yeah, I can here it is.
Okay.
Cliff sent an email. It says silver supplies in EU very tight. Austrian Mint is restricting amount to buy for both approved dealers and customers. Poland is having a run on the dealers and they are out. A gray market is developing outside official channels. I agree 100%. You can add the U.S. Mint is still allocating silver illegally out of the Silver Eagle program. They are on allocation. They have been, I don't know, for years now. They are required by law to create silver, not gold, silver eagles in quantities enough.
Demand.
That is the law. They changed the law a little bit. And they changed when we were bitching about it, they changed the law to say that the Treasury Secretary gets to determine whether or not they're meeting demand. But clearly they're not meeting demand with $10 premiums on a $25 underlying price. I mean, look at that premium. It's almost, what is that, 40% premium on anything is insane. Yeah. And all that tells you, all it screams is price dislocation. Silver is not priced appropriately. I don't even look at silver price anymore. What I look at is the gold to silver ratio, because to me, I know there's about 6 billion ounces of gold above ground and about 6 billion ounces of silver above ground. And every other dynamic in this ratio, like what's coming out of the mines, is at 7 to 1. What people are buying, go to Andy Sheckman and say, hey, what are people buying more of, silver or gold? It's massively more silver than gold. I mean, every other metric other than price, because price is determined on this crazy derivative exchange. Every other metric says gold and silver ratio should be 1 to 1. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I'm not going to sell an ounce until we hit 1 to 1, and I think it'll be sooner rather than later.
And even surpass it. If you look at the old WebBot data report, and even Jim Sinclair, Mr. Gold himself, said that eventually silver couldn't, in fact, surpass a gold. Speaking of Andy Sheckman, he'll be on the line in a couple of minutes. He's going to be doing a guest spot, taking a few minutes out of his crazy-ass busy schedule here the last couple of weeks, because his phone is absolutely off the hook. Of course, guys, these are the discounts afforded to the BeyondMystic audience here. We have the 1 ounce silver kangaroos at $3.99 over spot, and we also have the denominational smaller amounts here of the Noah's Ark silver coins. You can find that if you're on the American side of the audience, and if you're on the Canadian side of the audience, our new affiliate program now is mfbullion.ca, and there the Krugerrands are on sale. Actually, can I refresh that? I think there's a new one. Hold on, does that work? Still there. I think there's another one starting tomorrow, but anyways, for now, still the Krugerrands are at $5.69 over spot, and that's mfbullion.ca for the Canadian subscribers. Okay, well, thank you for reading that, and hopefully we'll keep an eye on this, but this has been, how do I say it, long in the tooth for us silver fighters. We've been there for so long, but it appears that we're finally there, and this time is in fact different. You're saying no, it's not different?
Ted Butler started this fight, found out about the criminals back in the early 80s. Yeah. I found out about it 1999 is when I started this battle, and I thought I'd win the next week. So there are certain battles in life that are worth the time, effort, and energy, and this is absolutely one of them.
Absolutely. And as everybody's saying, it's better to be a few days or a few weeks or a few years early to the party than 1 minute too late. That is, in fact, the deal here. All right.
I'll bet you Andy Sheckman runs out of silver this weekend. I think it's going to be a big weekend for people trying to get their hands on silver.
Well, I'm just seeing the booking forms go through the website, and everybody's like, hey, what's going on? It's taking a day or two for them to respond. I'm like, I know. The guys aren't sleeping. They're like, for every phone call, there's 5 more in the queue. Like, it's just absolutely ballistic. And what we're seeing with demand across Europe also, at some point, it hits our shores. Like, there's only a finite supply, and we're seeing it now. And perhaps this is why the COMEX is only maybe shoring up 50% of the silver standing for delivery this week. So there is something happening behind there. It all ties in, but again, where there's smoke, there's fire. And why would you wait? Why would you wait? We have the WebBot data that at some point says it's $1 a day move, then $5 a day move, then $20 a day move, then $50 a day move. Where do you want to start? If you're not in your position.
That's the thing, though. On the COMEX, those numbers are impossible. It would have to be the shutdown of COMEX, which I think is coming. They can claim force majeure with this war stuff. Yeah. And so I think that, something inside me tells me a large contributor to all the news agencies and the left and the right saying we need to go to war, has to do with silver.
What you just said might be prophetic, in fact, BIX, and we'll come back maybe in a week or in a month and watch this video, and exactly that's what they're going to do. They need to blame it on something else. Our policies were fine. It wasn't us. It's because of COVID or China or Russia or whatever it is. Force majeure. Exactly. Okay, let's switch gears into crypto here. We'll wait for our friend Andy Sheckman. I think it's going to be on at 3:45, so in about 45 minutes from now. Let's develop a little bit of the context here for crypto moving forward in 2022. Julie, what do you have on the slide here for the audience?
Yeah, if I could add to what you guys were saying right before, there's an alignment at the mid-March. So Venus and Mars are going to square Uranus and Taurus. So that means we can expect around that time even more regulations to around crypto, around investing your money in decentralized things. So also precious metals, cryptos. So I think it's going to get even harder to get your money out the bank around that time. So maybe new regulations. We saw some banks in Canada forbid people in taking their money out, investing in crypto. So I think it's going to be even more widely spread at the mid-March.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what's funny, as you were saying that just the other day, Jamie Dimon was saying, the SWIFT sanctions, again, the regulations that you're talking about here, could have, in fact, unintended consequences. Bix, you're laughing. Add to this a little bit here before we get into the astro.
Jamie Dimon would be the worst trader in the history of mankind. He talks the opposite of where his book is. He'll say, "Oh, don't buy crypto," and then they'll go buy crypto. If the SWIFT system's going to, you know what he said? What he said was, there's ways around the SWIFT system. What he meant was JP Morgan is facilitating ways for Russia to skirt the US military. Why aren't they arresting this guy? Why isn't Jamie Dimon arrested? He's got $40 billion in fines he's paid in the last 20 years. $40 billion in fines, but he's still not in jail. He was Bernie Madoff's only banker. He's still not in jail. Yeah. It's insane how this guy gets away with it, and hopefully they'll pull out the handcuffs pretty soon.
What was that book again? JP Madoff?
There's 100 books. Yeah, JP Madoff's a really good one. But there's 100 books and 100 reports, and just read the lawsuit of the silver manipulation by the DOJ. Tens of thousands of instances of silver manipulation. When the whole time the CFTC just held their hands up. I don't know what's going on.
Right, exactly. Pai is saying here his data is showing that the bull run in crypto is where we get the jumps, quote unquote, on prices. Because he said in old Webbot data reports that eventually Bitcoin would change out of its pattern and then have these jumps. It appears we've just started that now. If we look at what Cliff is saying on the screen now too, and just going back to this regulation here, this was Lagarde a couple of days ago. We had predicted this in the last Beyond Crypto Woo last week with Janine, saying that they had to regulate here to stop Putin from evading sanctions. And of course, they're using crypto. Just like everyday normal people now are using either crypto, gold, and silver to get away from the sanctions here from the Canadian government, and of course the bank runs that are happening in Europe right now because of everything that's going on. So, okay, Julie, let's get back into the astrology here for crypto. Let's set this up for the audience here.
Yeah, okay, so let's begin with mid-March. So I wrote Venus, Mars, square Uranus. So that's the same alignment I was talking about. So it's going to be even more tough to get your money out of the banks. So banks and central powers are going to emit new regulations, new rules in order to make it difficult to get our money out the system. And also Uranus is the planet linked to new technology, to everything that is systemized as to peer-to-peer exchange. So when Uranus is in Taurus, as it is right now, Taurus is the sign linked to money. So Uranus in Taurus is pretty much linked to crypto. So whenever we want to look at the movements of crypto in astrology, we look at the planet Uranus. So when we have a square like we're going to have mid-March, it's pretty much says that it could be more volatile for the major cryptos. So the value of it could be more volatile. We could see a possible crash too, because the square is a hard alignment. So it means there is going to be lots of demand, but the value isn't necessarily going to show that high demand, because Venus and Mars is like the will to invest. So it could be either a possible crash or even more volatility, because also the planet Uranus, which talks about crypto, its energy is more like an up and down. It's like a swing. It's very volatile. But what's going to happen, let's say it's going to be more exact during late spring, during the summer too. Uranus is going to lock in with the North Node. North Node shows, again, everything that is going to increase value. So when Uranus and the North Node are going to lock in for the rest of the year, so all 2022, this fluctuating energy is going to be like a straight arrow pointing upwards. So this means crypto is going to gain value, generally speaking, as of late spring and even summer. So also what I wrote, so end of March, we have this conjunction, Saturn, Venus, Mars, conjunct in Aries. So new regulations around crypto. We can see new centralized crypto, CBDC, that are announced too around that date, because the conjunction is a new start of a cycle. And Saturn in Aquarius talks about getting new products out, but also trying to keep it centralized, trying to keep your control and new technology on cryptos. So more centralized ones. And as we get to this very interesting solar eclipse that we're going to have in April 30th, it's going to be in the sign of Taurus. So again, money. And solar eclipse, it means the sun and the moon is going to be at the exact same position from our point of view on Earth. And it's going to conjunct Uranus, the planet linked to crypto, and also the North Node, the planet of high value. So I think around that date, April 30th, we could see this financial shift going even more publicly known. So I think it's going to be an important date, and it's around that date. It's just not just one day for sure. And I think this major breakthrough in the financial system, because there's going to be major changes. Eclipses always talk about major karmic changes, collective changes. So I think it's going to benefit crypto in a major way, because it's going to, people are going to know, very widely known, that where the real value is, where to invest their money. So this change in our financial system is going to, I think, push even more people to know that crypto is the real deal, crypto and silver, because also these are decentralized assets for sure.
Right. And before I bring BIX in, I wanted you to share with the audience your experience also. You just took the last crypto course here that Joe and I provided. So you're getting into crypto as well. And you're helping your mother here in the last couple of days. Explain to her how this relates to this last slide here, where banks were going to maybe put some more or close gates here so that people cannot get into crypto. What happened to your mom here?
Yeah, so I did the crash course. I think it was really really interesting, because I did successfully made my first crypto transaction. So I was very happy about that. And at first I wasn't really going to invest in crypto, I have to admit. But then I saw the astrology for 2022 and I was like, okay, that's the deal. That's where we're going as a collective. And also I was talking about the North Node and Uranus locking together around April 30th and onwards. And they're going to stay like super close together for the rest of the year. So it's not just like a trend, like a monthly trend. It's really like a long-term trend. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, I really need to get on with it. So I did. And then spoke to it with my mom. She was like, oh yeah, I'd like to invest too. So I set her up, and her bank didn't want her to get money out of her bank account in order to transfer it to an exchange site. So she had to spend maybe like an hour on the phone with them. And I was astonished. For me, it's not like, I don't know if it's legal, probably not. But it just blows my mind how you can tell people what to do with their hard-earned money, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, when your money is in the bank, you have to realize it's no longer your money. You are an unsecured creditor at that point. The laws are very clear on that. Bix, let me ask you the same question here about the gates being closed, one, to exit the system, but also how the gates are being set up here in terms of entering the system. So you can share that with the audience. And then let's go back to this idea of mass adoption with respect to this slide here for perhaps April. We're seeing signs of that now. Just yesterday, of course, eBay announcing that they too would start accepting accepting crypto payments. Again, this leading towards eventually this panic to own that CLIFI was talking about, because now it's, as Julie is saying, it's becoming a day-to-day thing. People understand that this is where we're going, and mass adoption is just around the corner. So let's talk about those two things, Bix.
Yeah, sure. I love that chart that Julie put up. If you can you send that out to everybody on a link or something? Because again, I love to use everybody's input. And I mean, if you lay that chart of timing of things over all these other things, when delivery months are, and when JP Morgan's going to get arrested next, and when Bank of America's leases come due, all those leases are 1-year leases only, 800 million ounces. So if you lay these charts and the information upon each other, not only the financial information, but astrological, it's a big word for me, and tarot and all that stuff, that's how you can get a better idea. And ultimately, I'll tell you what I came to understand about 15 years ago: you got to be out of the system. And it was startling to me to fully understand just how much control these entities have and how much trouble they're in. The only reason that these banks or countries are talking about central bank digital currencies, the CBDCs, because their system is failing. So they're going to try to implement CBDCs. I don't think any of them would ever give up control of their currency. So by definition, whatever they create is just going to be even more hyperinflation on top of what they're doing, because they will never create a CBDC that is equivalent to Bitcoin as far as decentralized, the nature of it. They can't be decentralized. They immutable blockchain, a blockchain you can't change. They would have to change it. Open source software, they would have to create a CBDC with open source software so everybody can see what they're doing. A limited amount of coins. All that stuff is completely out of the minds of any central bank. It's the exact opposite of what central banks do. So the whole concept of a central bank digital currency on its face is flawed, period. And if they create something as good as Bitcoin, they'll just use Bitcoin.
Yeah, good point. Very good. And Cliff, Mike, that's a mic drop moment right there. Thank you, Bix. Cliff, I was saying, yeah, war is good for cryptos, of course, and the uncertainty, the political system, be good for cryptos for sure. Going back to this idea of the banking system, the gates, Bix, that we were talking about here, Cliff is alluding to the fact he was with a banker the other day too at a local branch, and they were saying how absolutely busy they are now doing wire transfers, trying to get money. People are trying to get money into actual things there. So there's a big trend happening regardless of the war and the mass adoption of crypto. And on top of that, there are these banks, at least here in Canada right now, they're going above board here on trying to prevent any transaction from bank accounts into crypto exchanges. Let's talk about that and help people maybe navigate that as best they can here. Because again, like you just said, the system wants to keep you in their old system. That was the whole idea behind the paperwork with the thing going around the year. They wanted to bridge us into this central bank issued digital currency system. And now they're kind of behind the 8-ball. Explain that to the audience.
Well, I think the most important thing everybody needs to understand is at some point during this transition, all banks will shut off all transactions with cryptocurrency, because if they allow it, everybody's going to run into it because it's so much better than what they are doing. So I think at some point, probably when the derivative bomb goes off or the silver bomb goes off, all banks will just shut off any type of transaction. So you won't be able to go into Coinbase and transfer them money, and they won't be able to transfer you money. This is the time period that I've talked about for a long time, that you need your assets in your own possession, a nice lawn chair laid out in front of the whole world, and so you can just sit back and watch it all happen. Because I don't know what the price is going to be. I don't know what they're going to click a mouse and set the price of what crypto at what price, or if they'll all go to zero. These exchanges, the good exchanges, are all linked to banks. If the banks go down, the exchange is gone too. They pay their employees in fiat money. So we won't know the price and value of a lot of things as the old system fails. But that's a good thing, because price today is electronically controlled by manipulation on cryptos, on gold, silver, the US dollar, the stock market, the bond market. All of it is controlled with computer programs written in the 60s and 70s. This is it's kind of like a smoke screen. People get excited when they see silver going up to $25, and I'm screaming, get excited when the COMEX shuts down. Then we'll get closer to fair market value, because they won't be able to lie, cheat, and steal and tell everybody that silver is only $25 an ounce when we know it's probably $25,000 an ounce based on how much fiat money they have printed and haven't even told us about. Trillions, if not hundreds of trillions. What Ruta wrote in the sand in the original comic book was infinity. The answer to the solution to the economic formula on the road to the golden age, how do you get back to a gold standard, is print money to infinity. Soak up all the benefits. Build your roads, your bridges, your houses. Give free money to everybody. Like, fire out the fire hose of money. And that's exactly what they're doing. But they're not telling anybody. I mean, who's to say when the Fed bails out a bank for $100 trillion and didn't tell anybody?
Yeah,
nobody.
exactly. Wow, crazy. I wanted to bring up a comment, Libby, in the screen, and you'll know why. Iris is such a beautiful flower. Thank you so much, Libby. I know where you're saying that, and I really appreciate that. Bringing up the frequency in the show is absolutely amazing. So a big thank you to you. Julie, just to head back here on the astrology, anything else you wanted to share with what Bix was saying, or any other personal experience here? And while you do that, I wanted to bring this back up to the attention of the audience. We just recorded the Astro Woo Finance. This is a personal zodiac guide reading, so the astrology and the tarot, with both Julie and Janine here. So this is basically a 1.5, almost 2-hour show here as a personal readings on how to invest here month by month based on your personal astrology. Please give that course a try, really, or that episode a try. Really, really cool, full chock of information for you guys, as well as the Beyond Crypto Woo, where Janine and I actually track the different cryptos in our preferred wallets here and give you upside or downside momentum here on how to trade it for the month. So again, that's Beyond Crypto Woo, the Hitchhiker's Guide, and the March 22, both for the Astro and the Crypto Woo, are now available on the Insider Access Pass and also on pay-per-view. Julie, any last words on that Astro? And then I'll bring our guest star into the show here. Mr. Andy Schegman is in the studio now.
Yeah, so mid-January, we had the nodes of the moon change the axis of signs in the astrology. So that's very important for world finances and also for collective energy in general, because the nodes represent what we're going to value as a collective and what we're purging out, what are we going to release. So the nodes just move in the financial axis, which is Scorpio and Taurus, in January 18, and they're going to stay in that axis for 1.5 years, so until mid-2023. And all astrologers say that before we can really bring out the good qualities of the North Node being in Taurus, so new economy, being more sovereign, being more independent in our way to use money and exchange in between us, we're first going to have to purge out all the dark South Node stuff, which is in the sign of Scorpio. So Scorpio is everything related to dark networks, to hidden money, to old banking system is also related to Scorpio, secrets, power elites secrets, banking secrets. So it's all going to be exposed out in the open before we can move towards more the North Node. So I think this is really what's going on right now. And I think we can expect the first set of eclipses, though it's going to be April and May, to really shed some more light on that.
Very good. And Bix, let me cue you back on this too. Just the other day, we had this massive leak at Crédit Suisse, where the elites are getting their money, where it comes from, where it's going. You've been doing a lot of work in the last couple of years exposing how also this system for little people and the exploitation of little people would also break at the same time as the silver manipulation would break. Can you just touch that briefly here? I know it's a little bit more difficult on YouTube to talk about this, but you've been hot on that trail for the last number of years also to educate the audience.
Absolutely. And where I learned that was Jenny Moonstone. That's something she came out like one of our very first sessions. Those two things will be freed at the same time. Silver from manipulation and the other instance that we're not allowed to talk about. I'm not going to get you kicked off your channel again. But and it makes sense because as we move into the future, we need to reveal all secrets. We cannot operate as a species on secrets. I mean, everything is a secret. The way our financial system works, the way our healthcare system works, the way our government works, everything is, oh, it's national secret. It's national security issues. Bullshit. We need open source everything. We need no more secrets is what we need. And we're getting there. And truth and honesty will be valued again. If you look at the cover of the Road to Ruta comic book, it is joyful. It is happy. It is the face of the new Road to Ruta coin, but I won't see the new one. The old one is dreary. The new one is Ruta is like, oh yes, this future that we're heading into can be glorious. It's just, we got to get through it. We got to kick out the bad stuff and bring in the good. And we know what the good is, and we're learning what the bad stuff is. Remember, all this stuff that we think is so horrific now has been there for decades, hundreds of years, most of it. So it is horrifying what we're going to go through, but it is something I think we absolutely have to go through to cleanse everything and then start fresh and head down the road in a happy-go-lucky, Ruta kind of way.
Yeah, absolutely. Cliff is right on point. He says a lot of them scorpions are located in Ukraine. Of course, guys, stay tuned for this one. This is going to be the uncensored version. Janine and I did the first YouTube-friendly version last Friday. We couldn't get into a lot of the topics because of what Cliff is putting on the screen here. So we are going to be recording that, I believe, tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. Will be available for the Insider Access Pass members and then also for pay-per-view. So lots going on out there. Don't believe your mainstream news as to what's happening in Ukraine, of course. Now, let me bring up the man of mystery himself, the regular James Bond of the silver world, Mr. Andy Sheckman from milesfranklin.com. Mr. Andy Sheckman, how are you today?
I'm good, JC. How are you? Bixie, good to see you. Julie, nice to meet you, albeit virtually. It's a pleasure.
Nice to meet you.
Good to have you on. Thank you so much, Andy. And of course, the audience members know that you're the president and CEO of Miles Franklin. You've been doing this business now for a number of decades without any reproach from your regulators. And of course, a lot of happy customers here at BeyondMystic. We want to ask you today, we were just reading earlier a report from Cliff High. He's getting some reports around the world of a silver market being tight. Can you share with the audience what you're seeing right now? And of course, we know that you're really busy right now, just judging by the booking forms going through, the fact that you're off the hook in terms of the forms coming up and the phone also. Explain to the audience what's going on in the silver market right now.
You know, I've been saying that for about a year and a half, and I catch a lot of heat for it. I've caught a lot of heat for it because, much like BIX, I seem to see things a little bit before they actually happen. That the logic is so obvious to me as it is to BIX on a lot of the things that he talks about, but yet the cartel and the powers that be have had a very acute ability of keeping the ball up in the air, keeping things going a little bit longer than we would think possible. When I have been saying for the past year and a half that this market would ultimately identify itself by the inability to source product has a deep reflection, if you will, in why I say that. I mean, I can go back 15 years to when the mints, in times when nobody was buying gold and silver, would run out of product every October. And I would always say, you know, to myself, how the heck are they doing this? There's nobody buying it. Why are they out of product in November as they retool for the following year's coins and whatnot? And 2008, we saw all of the mints run out of product in unison as the price fell on silver from 21 to 9, completely counterintuitive. Price falls by 60%. You would think that everyone's dumping silver supply onto the market. It was the complete antithesis of that. Gold fell by 30% from 1,000 to 700. In both cases, for months on end, you could find nothing. In fact, I thought we were going out of business. As one of only 24 U.S. mint authorized resellers in the world, we were back then too. You couldn't even get anything. The mint would say to me, don't even call us, we'll call you when you can start taking orders. And this is as the price was cascading downwards. And it became very obvious to me at that moment that the price that, as BIX talks about all the time, that we see on COMEX was being set by a bunch of banks that were controlling the narrative. And it had nothing to do with reality, because as the price was cascading by 60% in silver and 35% in gold, thinking that the market would be flooded with supply, Every major mint across the world, US, Canada, Austria, Australia, South Africa, United Kingdom, every major refiner across the globe, every major dealer was begging for anything to sell or to offer. And it lasted the better part of all of 2008. When they finally did come back online, there were 8, 12, 16-week back orders with 100% premiums to a $9 silver price. This has reshaped my thinking. And as I look forward or move forward to, let's call it 2020, right when the pandemic happened, I had very large orders, 7-figure orders placed with both the Canadian Mint, who we're very close with because of our relationship with Brinks in Canada, and with the US Mint as an authorized reseller. 7 figures in with both of them, paid for product. It was on the way, but it didn't quite make it out the door, and they both shut down for weeks on end due to COVID issues. And so we have experienced, in good times and in bad, major supply chain disruptions. But the kicker to all of this is what Rick Rule talks about, that less than 0.5% of the entire financial matrix, from the Harvard Endowment Fund down to Joe Sixpack, owns any metals. Now, that might be changing now because of inflation seeking into the psyche of people. They're starting to wake up, and we see a larger, we're not the pimple on the elephant's ass anymore. We're kind of growing to the ass of the elephant, and we're starting to see more and more and more people that are waking up to this. And I promise you, 2 things. 1, getting product used to be the easiest thing in the world. I would have the biggest distributors in the world call me up and say, hey, listen, Andy, I got an extra 35,000 ounces of silver. I'm just going to park it in your warehouse. If you need it, it's yours. If not, we'll pay to have it shipped out. Fine, great. This would happen all the time. I'd have a warehouse filled with other metal that I didn't even pay for, that was just being staged there for free. And if we needed to use it, it was there. If not, they would pay to have it shipped out. Great, super. Now I have 2 employees, one that works at night, one that works in the day to secure product. The one at night works with the UK, with Australia, with South Africa, with the United Kingdom. One here during the day works all the domestic refineries, the US and Canada. It's a full-time job for 2 people, and it's next to impossible. In fact, there's a big Canadian distributor that is also a wholesaler to the industry. And he sends me his sheet. And I looked at it the other day, even though I don't do business with them. And honest to God, 90% of all of the silver items out of stock, 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 out of stock. That's just one. But what I have witnessed over the past 3 to 6 months is a exponentially increasingly difficult time getting product. And what we've had to do for the past year and a half is, instead of calling up the distributor and say, hey, Mike, listen, I need $4 million worth of gold eagles immediately. How quickly can you get that? Sure, Andy, 2 days. It'll be in your warehouse. Now I need to pay 60 days in advance to get silver. I need to pay up front, fully paying the whole price, including the premium. I need to hedge that. And if you're not able to hedge, you're not getting product these days. So if you're a coin shop or a small dealer who's not sophisticated enough to hedge on COMEX, which is a whole nother subject altogether. I can feel BIX thinking things when I say that. But the ability to hedge it on COMEX is what allows us to offset the risk in buying inventory months in advance, to run logistics on it, to pay high premiums and hope they don't come down. It's a whole different thing. And to answer your question in a very roundabout way, honest to God, it concerns the hell out of me. And I have been given heat about this, because people will read the comments. I can find it all over the place, and he's losing his credibility. Listen, I can get it for you right now too. But as God is my witness, I truly do believe it will define the marketplace, because it is getting so much harder to get. It's like one of those things in life where you look around you and say, yeah, life feels the same, but this is sure different for this reason and that reason and that reason. Well, when I look at my business, I'm going to be 52 years old this summer. I started this company on a wing and a prayer when I was 19. And in all of my years, I have never experienced anything that is as remotely different as it is right now in getting product. And I think it will be the delineation between people who have metal and people who aren't able to get metal, is that they will wait too long And it will be defined by a lot of the people from the outside as being too high priced. It'll be defined by everyone else trying to get it as impossible to get it. With that being said, I wanted to just bring up one other thing, Jean-Claude. You've been asking me for a long time about our domestic website, and we looks like are maybe just a couple, 2, 3, 4 weeks at the most away from launching a brand new website that will allow a lot of your listeners and you too, Bixie, to purchase online with the drop-down box showing that they came from you guys. So because of this environment, because things are speeding up so fast, I have stepped on the pedal to try to get our new website and our online platform going, and we're getting real close. So in this environment where things are changing like that, from supply to price, look at today's price, we're getting close to being able to offer that. Shouldn't be just a few more weeks.
Awesome. And you know, folks, Angie just said how different it is right now. This is why I titled this slide again here. This time it's different. And of course, the astrology seems to be lining up as Bix was saying there. Julie, I'll ask Bix next. Do you have anything you wanted to chime in on what Andy was saying? What's your experience also buying from Miles Franklin, getting some silver in your possession? What can you share with the audience here in your learning curve and this trajectory of being responsible for self and being your own bank? What can you share with the audience, Julie?
Well, right now I could say personally I'm in the process of looking, and I might be buying a house soon. So I'm trying to gather as much saving as I can, but I don't want to leave them in the bank because we sure did have our lesson here in Canada with the Emergencies Act. So I did a lot of orders with Andy for silver. So I'm planning on investing in silver and a little bit in crypto too until I can purchase this house. So I think this is and also in line with the astrology of 2022, because the banks are not safe and it's no longer our money if we leave there in the bank. So yeah.
Wow, very good. And Andy, or Bix, you were smiling a couple of times there during that deliberation by Andy. What do you want to share with the audience?
Well, first, Julie, I am so jealous that you get to buy your first silver now. I wish I didn't have to go through the 22 years of pain. I just knew I'd buy right now and just say, yes, look at that. I bought silver and it went skyrocket within a matter of weeks. But having said that, I'm gonna make Andy mad right now and make a prediction that if you don't get your silver orders in by this Friday, you're pretty much screwed with this crazy weekend coming up. Anything could happen this Friday, financially, geopolitically, government-wise. I mean, I have never seen so many things line up. A COMEX default is absolutely a possibility. Now, they usually cover it up, but they also usually have delivered 95% of the silver that gets called for March. They haven't even covered 50%. And, oh, by the way, 2,000 contracts, as I talked about earlier, 2,000 contracts were just bought. I believe it was just bought right on the day and stood for delivery because the open interest is still above 7,000 contracts, which is 35 million ounces. I don't think they have it. I think normally they just hide it. Let's just be flat out honest. Normally they just hide it. They'd pay off in cash.
Yeah.
Unless there's some good guys behind the scenes saying, no, we are going to show the world what you assholes are doing. Boom. Good night. So get your silver before Friday, and then let's watch Andy squirm on how much he's going to hedge for the weekend.
He's going to have to hedge a lot here if you look at this last warning. Another Lehman weekend, maybe, as Russia sanctions trigger central bank liquidity flood. This was on Zero Hedge just the other day. We were talking about it last night and also this weekend during the Beyond Crypto Woo recording. Andy, what are your thoughts on all of this too? This liquidity issue at the banking system and how fragile right now the market is and how tight your supply is and how perhaps Andy might be, or Bix might be forecasting here a difficult time sleeping for this weekend's activities.
Yeah, he's right. And for those out there that don't understand what he's talking about, the market is open 24/7 with the exception of it sleeps on Friday night, roughly, I think, 6 o'clock Eastern, and opens back up Sunday, 6 o'clock Eastern. Let's just call it real close to that. That period of time as it sleeps, we have to buy COMEX long contracts into the marketplace in order to be able to facilitate orders over the weekend. And during the silver squeeze weekend, we had a suspicion that business would be strong, but had no idea how strong it would be. On that particular weekend, we purchased 11 futures contracts into the weekend. That's 55,000 ounces. I got a phone call Friday evening from one client saying, or several saying, do you see all the online companies are shut down? They're out of product. That really wasn't what was happening, but that's what it looked like. I get a call from my trader first thing in the morning, Saturday morning, freaking out at 5:30 in the morning, keeps calling me. Hey, you guys sold 90,000 ounces of silver last night. You're 35,000 ounces exposed naked into the open. And when the market opened, we were expecting it to open up a lot. Luckily, it opened up just enough to only cost us $40,000. We thought it would cost us maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars. I did some business this last Sunday night, and one of the distributors that I work closely with, where I have a very large line of credit, said, hey, we're done after this order. I'm not doing any more with you because I'm very concerned silver is going to gap up Sunday night when the market opens up. And what gap up means is it goes way up, right, like that. Right, the first tick is way up past where it closed on Friday night. I think we're getting to that point. I think the realization that the Fed is trapped. I think the realization that the unintended consequences, perhaps, of pushing Putin out of the SWIFT system and perhaps embracing the CIPS system, that was a system designed between China and Russia, a system that sidesteps the SWIFT system, a whole new system. We're getting close to that seminal moment where it wouldn't be too far-fetched to see these countries who have in common the same feeling of not wanting to be dictated to by the West, to open up a unilateral, a new system, allows them to trade independent of the dollar. We've talked a lot about the Belt Road Initiative, where China is industrializing Asia and Africa. 75% of human population is being industrialized by China and using the digital yuan as the main currency to settle all of this commerce. This is a massive deal when you see the infrastructure that is being put into place. You got the Chinese petro-yuan bond that sidesteps the petrodollar and allows for settlement in gold off the Shanghai Gold Exchange, which sidesteps the COMEX, and the CIPS system, which sidesteps the SWIFT system. Do you see the chess pieces that are closing in on the king? Do you see it's almost checkmate? And while we're sitting here playing checkers, worrying about stupid things from day to day, they're planning their centuries movement. They're planning weeks, and not weeks, but months, years, decades ahead. And their chess pieces are moving into position because all of the things that make the dollar strong, Russia setting up a strategic military alliance with Saudi Arabia and Nigeria. That's what makes us the petrodollar. So you have the petrodollar, you got petrodollar settlement, you got a Shanghai Gold Exchange to do commodities, you got a system to sidestep the SWIFT, and you have infrastructure connecting 75% of the world settling on a new digital yuan. Do you see the razor's edge that we are walking on? And I think this is when BIX talks about it, you better do this right now. I don't know if it's Friday night or not, but if I were to have to bet my life on it, I sure as hell wouldn't, because I'll tell you, we are really close, really, really close on something like that happening, where a Friday night is the last train out. And I wouldn't discount anything BIX says, or you, Jean-Claude, or any of your guests. And I think we are at that period of time where you could argue we're floating aimlessly in an uncharted sea, where one day we're going to wake up to a new navigation, to a new direction. And I think these moves that we are imposing upon Putin, we're going to have unintended consequences to hasten that, to incentivize these countries into saying, screw you, West, we don't want to do it. I mean, heck, we even saw the head of the German, what was it? The German foreign minister came out and said that even Europe wants to escape dollar hegemony and wants some sort of EU settlement program where that they can sidestep settlement on the SWIFT system. Yeah. We are, I think, wearing out our welcome as the world reserve currency, and that is going to have massive consequences when it happens. That's the moment where gold and silver just become unobtainium, like that.
unobtainium, but for now you can still get it. You can do so here at beyondmystic.net/silver. Again, the discount's afforded to the Beyond Mystic audience, and you can also, if you're a Canadian subscriber, check out mfbullion.ca for their weekly specials here, again, for the Beyond Mystic audience. Before we go, Andy, a few people were asking me about the status of the Beyond Silver Mystic bar, Beyond Mystic Silver bar. There you go. How's it going with the training? Are you guys almost ready to start some bars for us?
We are trained. We are actually, we're refining our training. We had a group, 4 guys in from Italy all week last week training us on this machine. I just sent you an email this afternoon telling you I'm ready for the specs, gave you the dimensions. We're ready to start giving it a wing and giving it a try. I think we're ready to start issuing them. I would think we could take that artist rendering that you give us. We'll build a die. I have no idea how long the die takes. I'm sure it's not very long. It has to be saved in a certain format that I sent you. I'd never heard of that format before, whatever that means. And we can plug it in and start issuing those bars. I'm hoping as soon as by next week. So, you know, running a business, I have great ideas and I see all these things that need to be done. The implementation of them is very painful for me. I want it done yesterday, and it seems to take a year past yesterday, whether that be our Canadian website, our US website, or this utilizing this machine that we paid for over a year ago that sat in a cargo ship for God knows how long before it was finally delivered. So anyways, it's getting there. JC, I'm hoping by next week we will actually be able to start making, or in fact, maybe this week, start making your die and then start running silver bars as soon as a week or 2 from now, and that's realistic. That's not hopeful. I think that's pretty realistic.
I'm excited about that, but at the same time, I'm looking at some comments from Cliff in the chat. Anyways, guys, this is the machine. I'm working really hard to get all this done for you. And of course, we had issues with timing where, like Andy said, this machine was caught in a dock somewhere because of all the shenanigans happening. Otherwise, we would have been out with this maybe last fall. But Cliff says, of course, beware of the Ides of March. We're just around the corner of that. And he says, LOL, what do you want to bet that Andy just gets his website up and going and the cake crumbles and the frosting hits the floor here? Again, judging by the Lehman moment weekend that is perhaps upon us. Bix, any last words of wisdom for the audience? How can they find you here at roadtoruta.com? What do you have there on the private road? And tell them also about your road trip coming up just in time for all of these amazing, crazy things happening in our world.
Yeah, I couldn't have timed the road trip any better. Our first show is on Saturday in Sonoma. Andy's going to come out on the road at some point. I haven't, was it San Diego?
San Diego, I'll be there for sure. I'm going to try to do Phoenix,
all right,
but I've already booked my tickets. Pixie, I will be there 100% with bells on the 16th in San Diego.
I'm excited. I mean, this is the first time I've ever taken this, whatever it is. It's part music, part discussion about freedom, about silver, about cryptos, and part meetup. People of like minds meeting each other, and you can believe whatever you want. You just need to be free to believe it. And that's the key to, especially I live in Northern California. I don't agree with many people. Very liberal. I'm not anti-liberal. I just think everybody should have the freedom to express what they want and believe what they want. And it sounds so simple, except it is so not what we're living right now, especially on social media. And that needs to end. We need to figure out a way to end that. So we're going to go town to town, 3 weeks on the road, myself, Amy, Paige, and Josh, the whole Road to Ruta family. And then we're having people meet up. Andy's going to be in San Diego. We got Bitcoin Ben coming to LA. Jenny Moonstone and Lisa are coming to Phoenix. So it's going to be a blast. Go to roadtoruta.com and click on, where is it? Roadshow. And you can find a spot and come hang out with us. It's going to be fun and enlightening, shall we say.
And tell us about your new merch.
Oh, yeah. Paige put together a Road to Ruta merch site. Check it out. We got Road to Ruta hats. We got Road to Ruta shirts, underwear, you name it. We got it. Actually, I don't think we have underwear. But people have been screaming for that for a long time. And Paige has been working hard at that. And the stuff is great. I mean, I love it. I wear it everywhere. So, and we'll have this, a lot of the stuff. We got roadshow T-shirts and all that to sell at the event to raise money to pay for the event. Andy Scheckman and Miles Franklin have sponsored the tour. So I want to thank Andy. Always want to thank Andy for supportive Road to Ruta for, I mean, a long time. When people were saying, Bix, where you're crazy to think all this stuff. Andy's like, he's not so crazy. So thank you, Andy.
I've always thought that you look at things in such a refreshing way, and they've always made sense to me. And it's my pleasure to be a part of it. I'm just honored to have a small little part in what you're doing. So,
Andy, I'll give you the last words here in a second. Let me just ask Julie also to share with the audience where they can find her on maisonjupiter.com here. Talk about the production of the birth charts, the personal birth charts, how those enable people to get the maximum out of our Astro Woo and Finance shows, and let them know also about the tarot readings with Sophie, who I saw earlier in the chat. What's going on here at Maison Jupiter for the audience, Julie?
Yeah, so if you want to get your personalized birth chart, that's your natal chart with all your planet positions. So it's available on maisonjupiter.com, and it's about between a week and 2 weeks delay. I'm working really hard every day at producing those birth charts for you. So, and it comes also with a PDF report of all the major alignments. So it's going to help you understand your astrology better. And also you can follow along with your birth chart with all the collective transits in astrology. And with BeyondMystic coupon code, you can get 10% off with the tarot readings with my sister Sophie that was here in the chat, and also with the personalized birth charts.
Okay, very good. And what are the bookings like with Sophie right now? I know a lot of people are booking her not just for their love life, but also to better navigate the finances here. And we've got crazy great testimonials for her. But what's her schedule looking like right now? Are you adding some more dates here too to accommodate the high demand on the show?
Yeah, I think right now we're booking mid-April to end of April. So she's very popular. She has very good testimonials from all the clients, and yeah, I think she's working on adding a few more availabilities, so you can check very soon, and you're going to be able to find some availability that's going to work for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And Andy, to answer, or Bix, to answer your question, I will send you the 2 slides that Julie presented for us today, the silver for 2022 and also the crypto. You're more than welcome to put that up on your website. And also, if you want to take this video and bring it back up on your site as well, we're absolutely happy to share the information. This is what it's all about. A big thank you to both you, Julie, and Andy, and Bix. Andy, last words from you here. Words of wisdom, just to, again, talk about maybe your relationship with your father, how he inculcated to you the importance of taking a little bit away every day, every week, every month to save for your own personal growth and investment outside of the system. What can you share with the audience here today who are still wondering if they should get into or out of the old system as it is crumbling before us?
Yeah, 32 years ago when I started Miles Franklin, I was 19 years old, and my father and I, you know, Miles is my dad's middle name. Franklin is his friend who loaned us $60,000 to start the company. So in any case, the only stipulation that I had in coming to start this company with him was that I would buy something every 2 weeks or he would fire me. If that's the only rule, Dad, I said, hey, that's no big deal at all. So here we are 32 years later. I have never missed a 2-week period. I own the company. I'm the president of the company. He's not going to fire me any longer, but I've maintained that promise. And I say that to people in the respect that I've been buying it every 32 or every 2 weeks for 32 years, not to get rich. It is wealth to me. And as I always say, I have this little buzz phrase that I say, but it just resonates with me. And that is that, you know, gold and silver have outlived 2 world wars, German hyperinflation, the Great Depression, and every pandemic, and are still immutable wealth. When I look at silver right now up $1, I cannot remember the last time I've seen silver up 4% in a day, up $1. The market is still open for another 21 minutes. I don't want to jinx myself because, you know, they have a way of coming in right at the last minute to tamp that down a little bit. In the words of the CFTC Commissioner Rostin Benham, tamp it down. But nonetheless, I think that, you know, we're right there. We're on the verge of gold and silver expressing themselves as wealth, as money, when the currency around us is being destroyed. Never been a more important time to hold real money, historical money, not to get rich, but to get out of the way of what's coming. And I think that now is the time before it disappears, one other thing that we have that you didn't put up there, we are running a special right now. And since this was somewhat impromptu, I didn't send it to you, which I should have. We are running a special on 5-ounce silver bars and kilo silver bars. Really, really, really good special on 5-ounce and kilo bars right now, in stock, ready for immediate delivery. So if it were me, I'd be putting a little extra money in silver right now. And maybe, just maybe this time, they're not going to step on it. And we'll wake up on tomorrow morning and it'll be up $2 or $3 or $4. And always believe that when this thing finally hits its stride moving up, we'll see movements in dollars before it's all said and done, not just 20, 30, 40 cents like we're used to seeing, but dollars. And here we got gold up today, 38 bucks, and gold up $1. On a percentage basis, that's twice the performance of gold. This is what we've been talking about, where gold will do well, but silver will drastically outperform it once it starts going. And words of wisdom, look at it as wealth, not as an investment. I have since I was 19 years old, and it's what I teach all my brokers, what I teach my kids. Pay yourself first, put some silver away, put it away in real money. Hope you never need to use it. If you're due, you're damn glad you have it. If not, give it to your kids. And it's not just for an emergency, it could be for an opportunity. And if not, you pass 5,000-year-old historical wealth on to your children.
There you go. Sorry, there was an echo. So I was like, yes, pay yourself first, but also consider that you're exchanging the IOU, the paper, for the real thing. So again, a big thank you to you, Andy, Bix, and Julie for today. This time is absolutely different. I hope this information empowers you, the audience members, to take the right decisions for you. Of course, it's not financial advice, but hopefully educating yourself here on the situation that is currently unfolding in front of us can help you make those proper decisions for your wealth and that of your family and friends and loved ones. So this time is different, the astrology of crypto and silver with Bix, Julie, and Andy. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe here on Beyond Mystic 3. I'm at 68,000 and growing. Tonight, we have a French episode of Odyssey Galactique with Julie. Yes, all in French. And of course, tomorrow night, we'll be back on with Tarot by Janine. And Andy, if you send me those promo slides today, I will put it up right after the show on the website so people can
send it right away.
themselves of that. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'm Jean-Claude of BeyondMystic. I love you guys. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Bye-bye.
I love it.